Services and Kirk Market. Experience a world of choice. Automotive Art Cayman. Your car, our passion.
And now, Radio Cayman presents The Buzz, an insightful and fresh take on a variety of issues that impact the local environment. This is where we address the topics that matter. Here's your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning, Cayman. I hope everybody had a beautiful long weekend. I know I did. It was a little excitement induced for me for sure. I participated in K-Mass a little bit with Fet for a Cause on Saturday, although I rolled my ankle the day before, so I was not a sight that you really wanted to see on the road at all. But I tried. I made it, and it was a good time. So congrats to Fet for a Cause, having raised a lot of awareness and money towards cancer as they were part of this year's K-Mass parade. So that was part of my long weekend. I hope everybody else had a nice, relaxing long weekend, or full of a little bit of excitement as well. I'm happy to announce that in this very first segment of The Buzz, we are going to be speaking with ICCI, and I have in studio with me this morning, I have Melissa Hamilton. She's the registrar with ICCI, and we have Katie Thomas, who's a student council president, and also, I think she said it past and current student at ICCI. So good morning, ladies. How are you doing?
Good morning. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Good to have you.
Good morning. And like I must say, I am over the long weekends. I know I'm the only one, but I'm ready to not have another long weekend for a while.
You are definitely the only one.
Definitely.
I don't know who says that for a while. We're all about maybe even the 4-day work weeks over here. So that was interesting, Katie. So you're a past student and also a current student of ICCI.
Yes, I completed my bachelor's this year, and now I'm doing my master's.
Okay, what was your bachelor's in?
Business administration.
And master's?
Business administration. So
as well.
My MBA, yes.
Okay, congrats.
Yes, I need all the time I can to study and all of that. But I'm just tired of the long weekends. Every time I turn around, there's one right there. I'm like, I don't want to be off anymore. I have things to do that require other people to be there to get them done. I know. It is a sentiment only I share.
Yes, yeah. So I don't want that thinking to be caught on at all. So I'm going to move from that point.
That's right.
All right, so you are right now studying for your MBA.
Yes.
And how long do you have to go before studies are complete?
I have about 3 more semesters.
Okay.
So yeah, it's about a 1.5-year program for me.
Okay.
Yeah, fully online. So allows me to kind of, integrate everything else I'm doing on a day-to-day basis without having any overlapping or anything like that. So it's been really good. I like it.
And as student council president, what does this role entail for you?
Oh, just being the voice of the students. And trust me, Miss Melissa just loves when I send her an email like, so here are the list of things I'd like to discuss. But no, in any schooling or any organization, you need to be able to have your voice heard, and I'm happy to represent the student body in that regard to make sure that any concerns, queries, or compliments that they have for the college are being brought forward to the table. So it's a heavy burden, but I love it.
But you love it, I'm sure.
Love it.
Melissa, as registrar.
Absolutely. It's also my alma mater, so I'm very passionate about ICCI. I did both of my masters there, and now in the role of registrar. But not only registrar do I do, I'm also graduation coordinator, seminars coordinator. So I've been pretty busy. As my dean would say, I love where I work and who I work with. So it's amazing. ICCI have really created a legacy for tertiary education in the Cayman Islands. We're at our 55th, because we started in 1970. 55 years is a long time, and we're still here and happy to be here. And so many persons have passed through our corridors, even though it was just one room, and now we've expanded a bit. So it's a legacy that I'm proud to be a part of. And so we continue that drive. And so we've started our summer quarter a few weeks now, but we're looking, of course, to remind persons that fall quarter is coming up. That starts September 22, runs all the way to December 4. And so we do encourage persons, those who are current, as well as those who have sit out for a while or considering it and haven't made that decision, that, this is one of the best things you could do for yourself, to educate yourself, to get to the next level, to empower yourself. No one can take that from you. So we're here to encourage persons to do that.
So 55 years is an incredible accomplishment. I think y'all should be proud.
Yes, we are.
Be able to hold that on your back right now with ICCI. That's really, really good. What would you say that ICCI's kind of educational positioning power is? Because we do have the option of going away overseas to study as well, right? And then there's UCCI. So when it comes to ICCI, how would you say that that educational institute is different?
Okay, I'll share from an administrative, and then I'll let Katie share from a student perspective. But for us, and we've always been very flexible because our classes runs in the evening. So that's a lot for mature working class persons. Of course, if you're younger, you can also participate, but it works well for working class. We have, as Kitty mentioned, our master's program completely online. For our undergrad programs, majority of the classes are online. And then because it's small in terms of numbers, we have a more close-knit, I would say, community. Teachers really do go above and beyond in and outside of the classrooms. Students will say that, they feel like they know their teacher or they know the staff quite a lot. And for the staff, we have that open door policy. Anytime you want to talk, whether it's work, whether it's schoolwork or non-school work, they just come in, have a seat, and then start. And we're always welcome to, take them on and to listen and to always encourage them. So it's that familiar, that familiar ground that you can get. Sometimes when you go overseas, you don't even know anyone in terms of administration, or you can't get to them. So I think this is a good training ground for a lot of Caymanians, locals. Start at home, before we're not stopping anyone from going abroad, but sometimes you want to nurture that skills, at home before you embark on the big bad world out there. Mm-hmm. So yes. But I'll let Kitty add to that.
No, that was perfectly said. One of the unique opportunities here is that you are home. You don't have to go and try to reacclimatize yourself to somewhere else. And the companies that you're training overseas to work for are here. Why not go to school here, start an internship so you work your way and you're now getting the experience and the education hand in hand. It is interesting whenever somebody says, why don't you do your degree overseas? I said, why? I have quality education at my doorstep. Why go into somebody else's country to learn what other people are trying to come here to get? I have it. Mm-hmm. Do it at home. Comfort. I love it.
The convenience.
And I love the convenience. Cooking and learning. Fun times. Especially as a full-time student. I am a full-time employee. I am a mom. Part-time superhero. You just never know. It's nice to have the ability to get your education whilst getting the experience.
It's a little harder when you are a full-time employee as well.
Yes.
And you're a mom. So there's loads of responsibility stacked on top of each other. So to be able to have that flexibility, especially to go in the evenings, I think is key, because how are you supposed to balance everything out, right? And you may not necessarily be in the position where you can say, okay, I can leave my children or my family and go overseas now and study. This gives you that opportunity to upskill and get your education right. So.
Absolutely. And there are a lot of women specifically who want to upskill, who are moms. ICCI gives them, again, the best of both worlds, because you do get to get your education in a convenient setting for you while still making money to take care of your family.
Yes.
And there are a lot of employers here who want their staff to upskill. So come to ICCI. You get the best of both worlds.
That's actually a bit of a trend I've seen through the years. It's a majority of women that are getting their education.
Yes.
Or tertiary education. So it's interesting to me. So that's, at least in the Cayman Islands, that's what I'm seeing a little bit more of. I don't know if we just have a lot more women. I seem to think that too.
I mean, we are known as a powerhouse. So.
Yes, absolutely.
But we do want to see more males, though, because we've noticed that trend as well. And of course, when we do have our males there, we try to support them, encourage them to encourage their friends, because think about it. You don't want it lopsided, right? You don't want one set learning and growing and developing and the other, okay, where you're at. You want to, be equal. You want to be on par. So I do encourage our young men to get their tertiary education too.
Absolutely.
Upskill, yeah.
What are your key programs you think that attracts people to ICCI the most?
I would say business. Business administration is top, the first one. Of course, we do accounting and finance, and now what we find uptick in is our IT, and of course, IT technology is a buzzword. It's it's a mover shaker of the society now, and so we've tried to rise with that as well. And we have our bachelor's in information science and AI, which is a big thing. Persons are just loving that one.
So hold on, it's a bachelor's in AI?
It's a bachelor's in information science and artificial intelligence.
Okay.
So we're combining both. So we're teaching you how to understand the software technology side of it, and then using that, because you have to learn codes and all that, to be able to understand and develop artificial intelligence more, because that is something that's growing. It's not static, because you need that pretty much in everything now. Artificial intelligence is that foundation. And so we've actually have that bachelor's in it. A lot of students, even who started in just business and IT, have switched over to that, because it's really powerful now. Employers want you to have that knowledge.
It's a huge emerging industry, especially in the Cayman Islands.
Absolutely.
And I've been wondering, okay, where are we teaching, where are we prepping the students who are in high school, but their early years in high school, to being ready, okay, do I want to study this when I get out? How do we prepare them to have those job skills? So I think that's great that you're offering that degree program. So that's for information sciences and AI.
Yeah.
Okay, that's a great one. So I interrupted you, but
No, that's okay.
your other key degree programs?
We do have our strategic org leadership. That's another big one, because we did not have a bachelor's in human resource management, but we've had our master's for all these years. So we found that is a great segue into our master's in HR program. As well as we've taken on masters in management consulting. So again, we want to give you the tools, because a lot of persons, want to be entrepreneurs, want to do their own, have that flexibility. So doing management consulting, you have the ability to consult, to, share your knowledge, your expertise with others. So these are great programs, undergrad and master's program. And the flexibility, as I said, to be online, absolutely works for us.
Okay, awesome. We got to go to a quick commercial break right now. When we come back, we're going to get a little bit into more details of some of the program, including that HR certification that you offer at ICCI.
The Cayman Islands boasts of a long, colorful, and rich history. In tribute to our roots, Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands, is pleased to bring you the Historical Vignette Series, brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects. The Cayman Islands, He hath founded it upon the seas.
Spurgeon Andrew Ebanks, OBE, JP, 1914 through 1994. Spurgeon Ebanks served as headmaster in the government schools in North Side, Spot Bay in Cayman Brac, and West Bay from 1935 to 1946. He went to sea for a period of 6 years, returning home to manage his business in West Bay. He served as the sub-collector of taxes and customs for West Bay. He was a member of the Legislative Assembly, serving his district for 3 terms, in 1957 through 1959, 1963 through 1965, and in 1966 through 1968. He was the first Deputy President of the LA and chaired the Cayman Islands branch of the Parliamentary Association. He served on various boards, committees, and tribunals. He was appointed Justice of the Peace in 1961 and received his OBE in 1978. He was a member, elder, and treasurer of the West Bay, now John Gray Memorial Presbyterian Church. Mr. Ebanks was married twice, to Ina Nee Ebanks for 48 years and to Iola Nee Bodden for the last 8 years of his life. He had 4 daughters. He was a kind and considerate man, always willing to help those less fortunate than himself.
Since 1993, Rotary Central has worked diligently each year to provide quality bus shelters to our community. A traveling convenience to our school children, the elderly, young people going to work, guest workers, and visitors using the public bus. We, Rotary Central, help you, our advertisers, make it happen. Your marketing dollar travels a far way. Positioning your message, your product, your services, your presence in over 83 bus shelters. Every dollar you spend, every advert you place helps to build another bus shelter, providing modest comfort for Cayman travelers. Reserve space now on the only billboard medium in the Cayman Islands. Email rotaryshelters@gmail.com. rotaryshelters@gmail.com. The Bus Shelters, a partner in community convenience. Another inspiration program by Rotary Central Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman's historical vignettes was brought to you by Rotary Central. For more than 110 years, Rotary members have used their passion, energy, and intelligence to take action on sustainable projects.
I'm Michael Webster.
And I'm Denise Brown of Cayman Insurance Center.
Family is not the most important thing, it's everything.
We have worked with the community and their families on protecting themselves for the future.
Whether it's providing top-rated life insurance
or protecting your family's household investment.
From our family to yours, we understand and we care.
I'm Denise Brown. Call me at 814-7229.
And I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
We are Cayman Insurance Center,
specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services at an affordable rate. We are Michael and
Denise at Cayman Insurance Center.
Call today.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Summer's heating up and the water's calling. From cruising the coast in your boat to riding Yamaha Wave Runners, Automotive Art Cayman will get you ready. We offer expert servicing by Yamaha certified staff as well as engine repairs, performance upgrades, engine and electrical installation, and more. Need it tuned, cleaned, repaired, or race ready? We'll keep you running smooth, whether you're riding waves or racing them. Trust Automotive Art for expert service and upgrades. Find us on Shedden Road and follow us at Auto Art KY on Instagram and Automotive Art Cayman on Facebook.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Welcome back to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller, and we are talking about ICCI and their programs and some of the announcements they have coming up for fall 2025. We have in studio Melissa Hamilton. She's the registrar, and a whole bunch of other things as well. She explained to us a little earlier. And we also have Katie Thomas. She's student council president and also a current student at ICCI right now in her master's degree program. So we were talking about what some of your key programs were, right? And one of them you did mention was HR.
Yes.
So for HR for the Cayman Islands, is this an industry that's big for us here? Mm-hmm. And what made ICCI say, hey, we're going to offer a specialized HR program? And tell us a little bit about that program as well.
Okay. So we've had like persons like Colleen Williams, Beth McPhail, Ray Swartz, who was here with us in the Cayman Islands. And, being a part of the Cayman Islands HR Society, they've recognized that there are quite a number of professionals who are working in the field but not certified. So certification in a niche market like HR or even accounting, stuff like that, requires you, or you're more favorably looked upon if you have that certification. So that certification for HR professionals on this side of the world is predominantly the SHRM, right? The SHRM. And there was no local institution that actually prepared students or, the professionals for that. And therefore, we decided to embark upon that journey to assist persons to come in, to get the prep work done, to sit the exam. So the exam is still monitored, provided by SHRM, but at ICCI for 14 weeks this year. We've always done it for 11 weeks, but for this year we're doing 14 weeks every Saturday. I think we're going to go online, but every Saturday for 14 weeks we'll have, you'll be able to sit with, expert HR professionals who have been certified themselves to be able to prepare you for the exam. And it is quite daunting. I remember wanting to do this because I also have a master's in HR. And I started and I stopped. It was just a lot going on, but made up my mind about 3 years ago to say I'm going to do this. Did the whole prep course and then sat the exam in the first go and got it. So it is doable. And so we do encourage our HR professionals, if you're starting into HR or you're in it but have not been certified, come to ICCI. We help you to get certified because we're preparing you for the exam. We go through past papers. We go through the questions and how the questions are sort of created for you to understand and choose the ideal choice for it. And we have a good success rate. I think we're 85 and growing or 87 and growing %.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Now, you have your master's in HR.
Yes.
But this is still a certification that you were looking to get.
Yes.
So I would think, okay, you got your master's. So, how is the certification something that like that icing on the cake even when you have your master's?
Yes, because even with your master's, you're looking at general. So you go all over HR. The certification gives you best practices. And this is best practices globally.
Okay.
Not just in one jurisdiction. And you want that. You want to be current. You want to know what the best practices are and adapt that to your jurisdiction or to your environment.
Right.
And that's important. And so, yes, I needed that also to stay current and be... Yeah.
Now, some of the master's programs, we haven't touched on that as yet. Can you tell us what you offer at ICCI for master's programs?
So for a master's program, we have our MBA, which Katie is a part of. We have the master's in HR. We have our master's in management consulting. And I think those are the main ones because, we're looking to make sure that persons are, in those areas and doing well. We looked at accounting, but accounting needed a little bit more legwork to get there. But we're still hoping to do that master's in accounting at some point. Another undergrad I didn't mention before was our bachelor's in community health. And that's another one that we've seen persons showing an interest because, as you know, the medical field is quite extensive and it is growing, especially with Health City here and others. So we wanted locals also to have the training, the qualification to work in that field, not necessarily in nursing, but to expand your horizon. So when we do the bachelor's in community health, we're allowing you to have a wider scope. It has different aspects of the medical field, not just one particular one. So to expose you to communicable disease, expose you to learning the basics of biology and chemistry and all those stuff, and get into various aspects of, and I'm not a science person, so I don't want to get tripped over on that. But it's quite extensive. So someone not quite sure which area in the medical field, this is a good program, and of course they can come in and get information in terms of what are the specific classes that are there for that. But we've seen a good uptick in that one as well.
Is that an industry in Cayman that you see people we're needing more kind of job roles filled for?
Yes, absolutely. Because you might be working with Department of Environment, you might be working with the hospitals, but not necessarily a nurse. There are many aspects of the medical field that we need persons are needed for. And so if we train our locals, it means less reliance on overseas persons to come in to fill those. So absolutely.
On that note, does ICCI work with the high schools or kind of Ministry of Education, anything like that when it comes to understanding the data that's out there on what jobs will be needed in the future and how ICCI can kind of help fill that gap by offering programs that will help teach people these skills?
Absolutely. We've done several and continue to have dialogue with the ministry, government. Recently, I was a part of a discussion regarding the new hotel coming on stream and having, do we have students ready to take on those roles? We've had constant dialogue with, industry experts. We've gone into corporate Cayman to see, what are the skills that you're needing? And then we look back on our programs to see, are we offering those? Is there room for improvement? Absolutely. But I believe that we have definitely take on quite a bit and trying to make sure that we do have our students are prepared with the skill set. We don't just want you to just have a degree. Is your degree relevant?
Right.
And so that is why we have that continuous discussion. High schools, we do go into the high schools and do our talks with them, especially those who are getting ready to leave school, to show them options. Because sometimes they think, I have to go overseas. You don't have to. And as well as I said, getting into corporate Cayman and the government to make sure that we have students who are ready to take on those roles.
What about scholarship opportunities at ICCI? Are they available?
Absolutely. Again, we've always on the premise of making sure that persons can afford tertiary education at in Cayman Islands. That was a mandate for Dr. Hugh Cummins and others who started ICCI so many years ago. And so at ICCI, we do have the John Hugh Cummins Memorial Scholarship Fund that is internal. But if we do have students who are struggling and need, additional support, we have that going. We do encourage them to do the government scholarship. There are a lot of corporate scholarships. We send that out. As soon as we get them, we send that out to all of our students. And apart from that, we do have our payment plan. So again, we work with students. We want to make sure that money is not the hindrance to your education.
Right.
If you have that desire, we will work with you. We set up payment plans. We work with you. A lot of times we have students who are like, where they're at now. We have our meetings every week. And we're like, where they're at now. Who's struggling? Let's see what we can do to make sure that that is not what's going to stop you from pursuing your degree.
Yeah. That's one of the benefits of a smaller school in that sense, because you have that outreach, the people really supporting you.
Even as students, for the graduating class of 2025, normally we host a banquet, get everybody together. And we thought, no, in this climate where we want to ensure that everybody has access to education, we decided to donate all the funds, which is a little bit shy of $5,000 back to that memorial fund to ensure that students continue to get their education, because learning shouldn't stop because we graduated and we move on. We want to pass the on and continue your education and make sure that money is not something that you have to think about.
A hindrance, yeah. Learning really is lifelong. We only have about a minute left, so if there's any information you want to leave with our listeners, I know you have a GED program that's also starting for the fall. Any last minute notes you want to leave us with?
Well, yes, again, just want to say the GED program helps persons who are not quite there yet or have missed out on their high school diploma. Again, we offer the prep program for that to get them ready to sit their GED exams. Yes, you can do it on your own, but it helps when you have a teacher to help guide you. And then there's a pre-GED that is run through the work, and they send persons at ICCI to get them, ready for GED. And then right after, because we've had success stories where we've had someone who have moved from GED and then have finished her associates just now, and she's doing her bachelor's.
Wonderful.
So, yes, it happens. So we're excited about that. So last minute thing for me is just to encourage persons. There's no barriers to education, whether you're male, female, sign up. You don't have to think of doing it all at once. It's step by step, and we'll work with you to get you there.
Okay,
come on down.
Contact information.
Contact information very quickly. You can visit our website, www.icci.edu.ky, or you can call us on 947-1100.
Okay, wonderful, ladies. Thank you so much for joining us this morning on The Buzz. We've got to go to a time check and then the 8 a.m. news.
The time in Radio Cayman is now 8 o'clock, and this time signal is brought to you by Foster's.
The voice of the Cayman Islands.
89.9 FM in Grand Cayman and 93.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman.
Silver wings sunlight.
Radio Cayman.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
For today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
I'm April Cummings with your latest news. The Utility Regulation and Competition Office announces the launch of a request for proposal for the largest ever utility-scale solar energy and battery storage project in the Cayman Islands. The RFP follows a successful request for qualifications process. 6 companies were identified as qualified to submit proposals to deliver 22.5 megawatts of dispatchable renewable energy capacity. When operational, the solar and battery project will dispatch 350% more power than the capacity of the existing 5-megawatt Boddentown solar farm. The Utility Regulation and Competition Office says the project marks a historic step toward reducing reliance on fossil fuels and improving the sustainability, affordability, and reliability of electricity supply in the Cayman Islands. With the integration of battery storage technology, the initiative will ensure that renewable energy can be stored and dispatched on demand, which enhances grid stability and delivers cleaner power during peak hours. A special visitor to the islands hopes to learn more about cultural tourism. CIDTV's Travis Webster has the details.
The Honorable Minister Isaac Rankin welcomed the Honorable Owen Darrell, JP, MP, Minister of Tourism, Transport, Culture and Sports for Bermuda to the Cayman Islands on July 3rd. Minister Darrell spoke with CIGTV about his visit.
I'm here in the beautiful island of Cayman to take care of some strategic engagements with the success that Cayman has had with carnival, entertainment, tourism, and all other matters. I just thought it was proper that we come and engage, meet with some of your ministers, some of the movers and shakers that make this all happen. And I'm happy to be here and continue our strategic partnerships with the island of Cayman and the island of Bermuda.
Minister Darrell is engaging in discussions with the Cayman Islands Minister of Tourism and the Department of Tourism to learn more about the strategies being implemented to boost the local tourism sector. He is also meeting with the organizers of Caymas to explore opportunities for sustainable growth and the development within the carnival industry.
CIDTV's Travis Webster reporting. The Cayman Islands saw a sharp rise in merchandise imports last year. Total goods imported hit $1.65 billion in 2024. That is up 8.3% from the previous year. Non-petroleum imports led the growth, climbing 9% to $1.43 billion. Manufactured goods, especially metals, cork, and wood products, showed strong gains. Imports of non-monetary gold and special transactions also increased. Food and live animal imports reached $286.3 million, an 8.5% jump. This increase covered a wide range of products, including meat, vegetables, fruit, cereal, dairy, and eggs. You can find out more by visiting the Economics and Statistics Office online at eso.ky. That is your local news at this hour. I'm April Cummings. Now to the BBC for stories making headlines around the world.
BBC News with Danielle Yawowiecka. The first malaria treatment suitable for babies and very young children has been approved for use. Until now, there have been no approved malaria drugs specifically for babies. It's expected to be rolled out across Africa within weeks. The International Red Cross says there's been a sharp increase in injuries and deaths in Gaza linked to Israeli-backed aid distribution sites. The ICRC described Gaza's health system as shattered and overwhelmed by the rise in mass casualty incidents. At least 70 people were killed during an attack by gunmen in central Nigeria's Plateau state. The victims were members of a volunteer force that was set up to protect villages from raids by armed gangs. Police in northwest China have arrested 8 people after 200 kindergarten children were poisoned by lead used to decorate meals. The UK's Maritime Monitoring Service says a cargo ship is under continuous attack in the Red Sea off the coast of Yemen. The Eternity was first attacked on Monday, shortly after Houthi rebels claimed responsibility for an earlier assault on another cargo ship. Clothing manufacturers in Bangladesh say President Trump's plan to impose a 35% tariff on exports from the country will hit the industry hard. The US is a key market for Bangladesh. The man who shot Slovakia's Prime Minister has said he did it because Robert Fico was throttling culture. 72-year-old Juraj Sintila went on trial on Tuesday, accused of attempting to assassinate Mr. Fico. The French President Emmanuel Macron has arrived in Britain for a 3-day state visit. It's seen as an attempt to improve ties between London and Paris. Relations had soured following Britain's decision to leave the European Union. Mr. Macron will be honoured with a banquet at Windsor Castle and hold discussions with the current Prime Minister, Keir Starmer. BBC World News.
The 8 a.m. news is brought to you by ValueMed Pharmacy. Save time and order your prescription refills online at value-medpharmacy.com. VALU-medpharmacy.com.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
When you're on the go, the experienced team at Foster's Pharmacy are here to help. Drop off your prescription while you shop or WhatsApp us and we'll prepare it, ready for your arrival.
Whether you need prescription or over-the-counter medications, blood glucose testing, or advice on vitamins and supplements, we're here early in the morning to late at night. Both of our locations at our Camana Bay and airport stores are open 7 a.m. to 9 p.m., Monday to Saturday.
For more info, visit fosters.ky/pharmacy. Foster's Pharmacy. Better health because we care.
Stay in touch with Radio Cayman with the latest up-to-date, accurate news and information. For your convenience, the headline news will be repeated on our sister station, Breeze 105.3 FM, weekdays at 8:30 a.m. Follow Radio Cayman on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or download the Radio Cayman app in the App Store or log on to www.radiocayman.gov.ky and stay connected to what's happening in the community. Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice, your radio. Are you feeling overwhelmed, sad, stressed out, or suicidal and need support? Call 1-800-534-6463. K-Mind, Mental Health Helpline. It's okay to ask for help. K-Mind Mental Health Helpline, available from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. Monday to Friday. It's free and confidential support and guidance on your emotional and psychological health.
We were set to battle, and your Aunt Angie was leading the pack when...
Aunt Angie, what does this have to do with car damage?
Oh, right. Well, long story long. I took down the assassins and wound up inventing a new form of mixed martial arts. I became an international champion until one sore loser karate kicked my car. But I was covered with CG.
Covered for malicious damage and more. CG Britgay. Good like that. All benefits are subject to policy provisions, including eligibility at the time of service.
It is now time for another weather update right here on Radio Cayman 89.9. It is just about 8:10. The temperature is 84 degrees, but it actually feels like 91 degrees. Humidity is at 82% and our cloud cover at 76%. In a synopsis for today, moderate winds and slight seas are expected to prevail across the Cayman area through the next 24 hours in association with a weakening pressure gradient over the northwest Caribbean. Radar imagery shows scattered showers with embedded thunderstorms in and around the Cayman area moving towards the west-southwest. Today, expect partly cloudy skies with a 40% chance of showers and some thunder. Temperatures will rise to the low 90s with a heat index near 103 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds will be east to northeast at 10 to 15 knots with higher gusts, and seas will be slight to moderate with wave heights of 2 to 4 feet. Tonight you can expect partly cloudy skies with a 40% chance of early morning showers with some thunder, especially across the sister islands. Temperatures will fall to the low 80s with winds being east to southeast at 5 to 10 knots, and the seas will be slight with wave heights of 1 to 3 feet. Sunset later today will be at 7:06 and sunrise tomorrow morning at 5:55. The outlook is for increased chance of cloudiness and showers from Wednesday morning as an upper level low trough interacts with residual moisture across the northwest Caribbean. And that is it for your weather update. This is Radio Cayman 89.9. It is 8:11 and a half.
The 8 a.m. weather update brought to you by CG Britcay, where people come first.
Tune in every Monday through Friday at 12 p.m. for Radio Cayman's Midday Newscast. Radio Cayman, the People's Station, your trusted official source for the latest news. The 12 p.m. news is proudly brought to you by Health City Cayman Islands. World-class healthcare within your reach.
Your mornings just got a whole lot buzzier. Join me, Kathy Miller, every Tuesday and Thursday from 7:30 to 9:30 a.m. on The Buzz, Radio Cayman's morning talk show with insight, impact, and inspiration, covering business, policy, finance, health, culture, and the biggest local and global issues impacting our Cayman community. With fresh perspectives from younger generations to stories of inspiration from local entrepreneurs. Tune in and turn up Tuesday and Thursday mornings, 7:30 to 9:30 with me, Kathy Miller, on The Buzz. The Buzz.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
To all my friends who are on our roads, a very good morning to you. Boy, I tell you, it's a completely different scene than an hour ago because it was raining earlier on. Well, when I was on my way to work after 6 this morning, it was pouring coming from the west and the roads were wet and slippery. But now the sun has come out in all its glory and I'm not seeing what I was seeing an hour ago. So let me give you an update on our traffic at this time. It is 8:13. So starting off with my favorite road, Crew Road, traffic is bumper to bumper, but it is moving steadily. And by steadily, I mean a slow steady. Yes, slow. A very good morning to all those who are stuck in traffic. And we also have bumper to bumper traffic coming from Huldah Avenue into the CNB roundabout. And bumper to bumper traffic right at the beginning of the Butterfield roundabout coming from Esterly Tibbetts Highway. But traffic coming from all other directions right at the Butterfield roundabout is smooth flowing. So those coming from the Esterly Tibbetts Highway expect a little bit of delay heading into the roundabout, all right? Over on the east-west arterial, traffic is flowing smoothly in both directions. And just about the same for West Bay Road. Not much traffic on Edward Street at all or on Owen Roberts Drive. Not much traffic. So if you're going to the airport or you're coming from the airport, you should be good. Not much delays in that area. No traffic on Shedden Road. And on Shamrock Road, not much traffic at this time. That is it for your traffic update, brought to you today by Subway.
Did you know ordering your favorite sandwich from Subway just got easier? Yeah, picture this. No more waiting in line. No more fussing with cash. Just a delicious taste of Subway at your fingertips. With our new app, ordering your go-to sub is as easy as a few taps on your phone. Plus, receive exclusive deals and earn loyalty points with every purchase made on the app. Download the new Subway app today and get ready to ditch the lines and drive straight into your flavor. Visit the App Store or Google Play Store on your mobile phone and search for Subway Cayman Islands. Subway. Eat fresh.
The traffic report is brought to you by Subway. Enjoy a delicious start to your day with breakfast from Subway.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning and welcome back to The Buzz. I am your host, Kathy Miller, and we've got a bit of a hot topic to discuss right now, but I'm very excited to have this discussion, even though I feel like I'm the one in the hot seat this morning. So I'm very happy to welcome, first time for me in the seat as minister, we have Minister Myles, Minister for Caymanian Employment and Immigration. That's Minister Michael Myles, I should say. We also have Tony Powell, who's the chair of the Permanent Residency and Status Board. And we have Jacqueline Terry, who's the deputy chair of the PR and Status Board. So good morning to my guests. How are you all doing today?
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
It's great to have you. Minister Myles, you know that I've said I can't wait to have you back when you are minister, and here you are.
Yes, here I am.
So I believe that you've definitely fallen into the right ministry for you. So this is something that I know you're very passionate about, that you've been working behind for almost your whole career in a sense. So your ministry, which is brand new since it formed in May, it's come out full throttle, right? Full throttle. And that's under your leadership as well. So this includes the introduction to term limits for non-Caymanian civil servants to now what is the modernizing of the Immigration Transition Act 2022.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Now, reform, that's a key theme for your ministry right now.
It is.
Right?
It is.
So specifically surrounding immigration, what are your areas of focus right now for reform?
I think the goal for us has always been how do we ensure that we protect Caymanian jobs, and how do we ensure that we protect Caymanian culture? And over the last 7 weeks that I've been in the ministry, and the reform have been more about Caymanian employment and immigration, I started to take a step back to see what we want to accomplish. And the goal for us, certainly as a coalition government, is protecting Caymanians. We've all come up with, we have to start to protect our way of life. Therefore, I've met with all of the boards. Tony and Jackie has been gracious to have me in their board meetings on a regular basis. I've promised them that our goal is to partner and to collaborate as much as we can. The ministry, my ministry, we've had a lot of phenomenal people who have guided me on what that reform looks like. And we have a lot of legislation, certainly based on the proposals from Tony and Jackie's board, and we are moving forward with that. I think what I'd like our listening public to understand is having an appreciation for the different ways. I don't think that we as Caymanians have an appreciation for the different ways that people can get citizenship. One often thinks that citizenship is often granted simply by marriage, and that's not so. There are a number of different ways that citizenship now can be granted, and unfortunately, our way is threatened because of this. Tony and Jackie will highlight some of the loopholes that have been punched in our immigration laws. A lot of those are now being exploited by attorneys, and we are almost taking a back seat. So when I got in, I vowed that our responsibility is to close loopholes, change the system, and protect Caymanians. So today, it is really about sharing with Caymanians the things that we're doing, and I've promised my coalition government and certainly my ministry that every opportunity that I get, I want to come in a radio or TV or in whatever space, because I think that the Caymanian people have a right to know how we are supporting them, what protections are going to be put in place, and what rules and regulations and laws that we are implementing that protects our way of life and certainly our culture. So today, I'm going to ask Jackie to kind of start off first, because I know she has a lot of really cool information to share with the Caymanian public on really, the different ways that, or we call them facilities that people can gain Cayman citizenship, and ways that we are closing some of those loopholes in these particular facilities as well.
All right, Jackie, we'll let you take it away.
Thank you. Before I get started, I want to thank the Honourable Minister for inviting myself and Mr. Powell to join this morning. As he's mentioned, immigration reform is important and top of mind, and it's refreshing to hear that this new government feels the same. Having said that, from my point of view, and certainly from Mr. Powell's point of view, we understand that it's a balancing act, and that reform doesn't mean necessarily, opening the floodgates, because we're not trying to do that. It doesn't mean also shutting them down completely. Mr. Myles has a lot of wonderful ideas around data mining and how he can use that data in the context of immigration. So I want to pause there and just pivot to the numerous facilities and pathways under permanent residency. So I'm going to kick off with the resident certificate for persons of independent means. And what that is it allows someone to live in Cayman for 25 years. It is renewable. Under this facility, they don't have the right to work, and they must invest at least CI $1 million, of which about $500,000 has to be in developed real estate. Equally, they're responsible for demonstrating that they have an annual income of around $120,000 or about $400,000 in a local bank account. And of course, that's designed to ensure that they can maintain themselves, if you will, and they don't become a burden on the system. Pivoting to the second facility, there's a certificate of permanent residence for persons of independent means. Now, this facility is a lifetime residency facility and allows you to apply to work. But that requires $2 million in developed real estate investment. Equally, it gives them the opportunity to be naturalized and potentially become a Caymanian. There's also the facility for substantial business presence. That was created and designed to really encourage businesses to come to Cayman and thrive. And under this facility, you must own at least 10% of a business and or hold a high salary role, which would yield around $20,000 in work permit fees, the equivalent. And so those roles would be somebody like a MD, CFO, CEO, things of that nature. The substantial business presence facility is valid for 25 years. And again, it includes the right to work in that particular business. Because we're generous, we've also allowed for a certificate of direct investment. So one must invest at least CI $1 million in a licensed job generating business. That facility is also valid for 25 years. And it allows you to, obviously, in your spouse and your kids, most of these facilities will allow that provision for your spouse and kids to reside with you. Then there's the pathway that Mr. Myles spoke about that people are under the assumption is the only pathway, and that's by being married to a Caymanian. But as we've heard, there's numerous. So being married to a Caymanian, as he mentioned, once you marry a Caymanian, you have the ability to apply for something that's called RERC. It doesn't yield annual fees. It allows you to work in Cayman in whatever job you'd like. And all of these facilities, I should mention, there's a process in which involves applications, character references, things of that nature. And we can unpack that a bit more as the show goes on. And then there's the infamous permanent residency, legally ordinary resident point system. So I know that Honourable Myles has been really looking at that system very intensively. Again, not that we're trying to choke the Cayman economy and not allow for businesses to bring in talent, but it has to be balanced. And as he mentioned, I can't reiterate enough, underscore protecting Caymanians. So under that facility, there is just a broad range of categories that one is evaluated across 9 different dimensions, if you will. And within each dimension, there's a maximum amount of points that one can earn. So I just want to briefly touch on those categories, which involves occupation, one's education and training, their local investment, obviously their financial stability, their community involvement and integrating into the community, if you will. There's also a history and cultural test. This is the one facility that has that history and cultural test. And then there's provisions for close Caymanian connections, and they also look at the age of the applicant and the demographic and cultural diversity as well. So I want to pause there because
It was a lot.
That was a lot. And, I guess just from our perspective, from a board perspective, knowing that there's this many facilities, while we understand the initial need to have the flexibility as we were growing the economy, we equally understand the importance of taking stock of the numerous facilities that we have and really serving to, align the various pathways to a national workforce plan. I know that Mr. Honourable Myles has been on the talk show and sharing his vision for this national workforce plan, and again leveraging the various data points across, not only immigration but equally the government to make sure that as we make these decisions, as we consider the changes to legislation and implement those changes, that we're being thoughtful about that.
So a couple questions off the bat for the families that do that direct investment, and I can't remember the exact acronyms that you used, but let's say the $1 million or the $2 million investment. So for those people that have families, is that status being passed off to those children as well?
Well, I guess I would like to delineate between the initial investment, the initial PR categories that I mentioned. Yes, those individuals can list their dependents. So those dependents, whether their spouse or kids, can stay with them for the duration of that facility until it's renewable. The second facility that I mentioned, which is the lifetime residency, that one specifically is a certificate of permanent residence for persons of independent means. Yes, under that specific facility, it can lead to them being naturalized and subsequently getting Caymanian status. Now, our view around that is the challenge. I think we've had we've tried to wrap our head around the fact that once you give Caymanian status to the spouse and the kid, you can give that in perpetuity. So if you just take stock of the numbers from a statistics perspective of where a Cayman is from work permit versus, Caymanians, we could see how we could lose that identity, and that's why it's so important culturally for Honourable Minister and myself, and obviously the board members, and I speak for Mr. Powell as well, in making sure that we preserve that identity.
So of those 9 pathways that you mentioned, ways to become a permanent resident and then eventually Caymanian, of those pathways, are we looking to eliminate any of them or amend?
So we started to amend a lot of them. For instance, when non-Caymanian marries a Caymanian, a year after the marriage, they can apply for RRC. We are moving that 7 years out because what that has facilitated now are a lot of marriages of convenience. We are now looking into at least 200 marriages of convenience, and a lot of it has become, a non-Caymanian marrying a Caymanian, and all of a sudden, then they get RRC. Well, 3 years after getting RRC, they can apply for a British Overseas Territory citizen and get our passport. So it's costing us a lot of money in developing resources to enforce a lot of this. So in the current, in the reform of legislation, you are not going to be able to apply for RRC for at least 7 years. You are not going to be able to apply for a British Overseas Territory citizen for 15 years. So you can't get our passport. So the goal is that we are moving a lot of these facilities out. So if your marriage is of convenience, eventually it's going to show. We're also going to empower the board on the director of work that if they suspect that the marriage is of convenience, they can actually remove that facility from them. So those are the changes that are coming in September.
That's some of the power or authority that the board would get and work, I believe.
That level of power. We're giving the director of work back that power that if they see or if they recognize or suspect, they don't have to prove it outright, but once they suspect, after whatever, investigation, those facilities can be removed.
Okay. We got to go to, did you want to say something, Tony? I felt like you were going to jump in. Okay. All right. We're going to go to commercial break right now. When we come back, we're going to continue this discussion, and I'm going to open phone lines in about 15 minutes. So if you've got questions to ask, you can ask in about 15 minutes. But right now we're going to go to our first commercial break.
I'm Michael Webster.
And I'm Denise Brown of Cayman Insurance Center.
Family is not the most important thing, it's everything.
We have worked with the community and their families on protecting themselves for the future.
Whether it's providing top-rated life insurance
or protecting your family's household investment.
From our family to yours, we understand and we care.
I'm Denise Brown. Call me at 814-7229.
And I'm Michael Webster at 925-5433.
We are Cayman Insurance Center.
Specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services at an affordable rate. We are Michael and
Denise at Cayman Insurance Center.
Call today.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning. Welcome back to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller, and we are talking about immigration reform. I have with me in studio, I have Minister Michael Myles, Minister for Caymanian Employment and Immigration. We have Tony Powell, Chair of the Permanent Residency and Status Board, and Jacqueline Terry, Deputy Chair of the PR and Status Board. And like I said, I feel like I might be a little bit in the hot seat, but I'm not going to ask my own personal questions here. It's not that kind of a session this morning. We had just learned about the 9 different pathways. That's the word I have to use to understand it, but they also call it facilities to getting permanent residency in the Cayman Islands. And I think, Tony, you wanted to touch on...
I'm going to touch on status.
Okay.
But first of all, I'd like to say that we made a recommendation to the minister and the government to define Caymanian. Mm-hmm. We think that's important to Caymanian people, that they know their identity and where they're coming from. So we have made a recommendation to have Caymanian defined, and one that will be Caymanian will be one who owes allegiance by descent, a person born from indigenous generational Caymanian. That will be Caymanian. And we have made a recommendation that those other persons will be called Cayman status holders, which is a person granted Cayman status, right to be Cayman, and shall have all the rights to reside and work in the Cayman Islands, and they will be able to vote, but they will not be able to run for parliament. So it's important for us. And it would be a great day if we can be able to define Caymanian in our new laws. Also, our recommendation to the government is that Cayman status will be only granted to persons of descent or persons of marriage. Under the present law, at this point in time, persons of descent is granted Cayman status, but is limited if you leave that in for 5 years, be taken away. We want to take that out of the law, that once you regain status or gain status by descent, that you have it forever because you are related to generational Caymanians. So you have it forever. That we are asking for the law to be amended there for that. Also, Caymanian status by marriage. At this point in time, you can get it after 7 years. We are going to recommend that it's extended to 15 years to see that there's some longevity to the marriage, so that they're not nilly-willy, just marrying for convenience, as Minister Myles have said. We have had tons of complaints about marriage and convenience. It is a difficult task, but we are dealing with them one-on-one. Because being away from your partner doesn't mean that it's a marriage and convenience. It could be for educational purposes, it could be for other purposes. The one area that we usually catch them in is when one partner complains about the other one. At that point in time, we are then able to bring those people inside and say, listen, we have 30 days for us to give us a reason why this marriage is not working. And if you're unable to give it to us, we will revoke it. So we will do the revocations if you're unable to give us any information in relation to the status of your marriage or if it's not working. But it is not as easy a task as people on the street usually say, "Oh, Tony, this person is married for convenience." Marriage for convenience, irregular marriage for convenience. I can help you, you can help me. So there was a case in court where someone went in and it went to a trial, and basically at the end of the trial, the husband said, "Yes, it's a marriage of convenience. I married her because she can help me and I love her." And that was the end of the case. But where we can actually see into it, we will certainly make those revocations. Also, in the law right now, we want to strengthen the law in relation to Caymanians in the workforce. I know that there are many Caymanians out there that are being harassed and abused in the workforce. Under Section 30 now, it talks about racism. But we want to strengthen the law to protect Caymanians in the workforce from harassment and abuse. And Caymanians, if you're having problems, do not wait until this law is amended. Write into us. When they're making a file on you, you make a file on them. If there's a case of abuse in the workplace, we will deal with it right now at this point. So don't be afraid to write into us. You don't have to wait for the law to pass for us to deal with this issue at this point in time. We can deal with it now. We have dealt with it before. We have taken away persons' PR for harassing Caymanians in the system. Now, there have to be a balance, not because you're Caymanian that the PR and Status Board is going to take action because you have the listed word Caymanian. If there's an issue at the job site, the labor laws are in place for you to take care of those. But if you harass and there's racism or abuse in the system, we are going to be knocking on your door. If you provide false information to us, we are going to be knocking on your door. We are here to protect Caymanians and the rights of Caymanians. The least they can do is to be able to work in harmony here in the Cayman Islands. Their generational Caymanians, grandfathers and grandmothers, built this place. They should have the right to enjoy it without harassment from people. And we are looking at that very seriously. I can tell you how serious we're looking at it. About 6 months ago, we took away a PR from a lawyer because he was abusing Caymanians in the workplace. So we're not stopping, and not because you're a law firm that we're afraid of you. I have a book on the left side of me that gives me all the laws. And whenever I take it away from you, I'm going to stack it. I'm going to stack it to make sure that we are following the rule of the law.
I have a question, Tony.
Sure.
So in the sense of if a Caymanian is being bullied or harassed at work by maybe a peer that's in charge of them, has more power of them, whatever it might be, as I understand it now, it is only, I think, your management or somebody in management within a place where you work that can kind of write a letter against an employee.
No, anybody can write a letter. The employee can write a letter to us, complain about the situation. And we don't like anonymous letters, but it's a starter. Mm-hmm. And what we can do, we can call in the managing director of that place or the manager of that place and say, "We have these issues with Caymanians. Mm-hmm. Can you let us know what's going on?" It opens the door for us. Obviously, we have letters, multiple letters of complaints and stuff. We certainly makes the case stronger. And we certainly will stick with these cases and deal with them. Mm-hmm. Because we can't have people coming here and harassing our people in the workforce, abusing them, and they enjoy all the luxuries of the Cayman Islands while our people are suffering. We have to take care of them. And that is why I'm so grateful that we renamed it the Cayman Protection Act, because it should say what it means.
Mm-hmm. So what is the criteria for somebody making that kind of a complaint? Like, should it already be something documented within work? Because, you're going to have those situations of, I just don't like that person. I'm going to pretend that they do these things to me, right?
That is why I say the labor law is there. If there's a problem with the employee within the place, the labor law, the institution should follow the labor law.
Okay.
That is correct. We are not going to touch those.
Gotcha.
If the employee is outside of the scope of what is written in their job description, we're not going to touch them. It's when it's literally abuse, harassment, racism, we are going to deal with that. And I know many Caymanians are afraid to write in to the board because of the job or mortgage or whatever. Listen, I am going to go all the way down the street with you to protect you. And if the office or the managing directors threaten you in any way, we will deal with it from the beginning, which is from work and from business staff and board. If they give you a difficult time and we can justify it, we will redline them from work. We will redline them from business staff and board. So don't be afraid to write in to protect yourself. When they're creating that file on you, you copy everything to your email so that you can build a case also. Because we know there's a lot of it going on there. Caymanians, we get Caymanians come home, they have all kind of qualifications, and they force them out of the system when they have somebody on West Beach drinking a pina colada. No more pina coladas. We are going to deal with these issues. We're going to protect the Caymanian people.
Catherine, just to jump in there, you hit on a salient point of, you may have that one person that may be saying you're doing something malicious and just writing not factual items about an individual in the workplace. So hence Mr. Tony's comment about really making sure that we investigate that, we look into the validity of that, because you would have circumstances in which you just described. And there's a lot of debate around the board when these matters come before us, because we have a responsibility to also employ proper governance in our processes, right? So we're not going to arbitrarily, eliminate those or not adhere to those, if you will, but we're going to really make sure that we explore, ask the right probing questions and seeking to understand before we make a decision.
Okay, gotcha. I mean, it's a question because as an expat, I have been under the knowledge of people throwing threats out. Well, I'm just going to write the board about you. I mean, that's a threat that a lot of people like to throw out to expats. So,
and we recognize that, right? Yeah. So that's why I wanted to underscore that we do our proper checks, have multiple conversations. I come from an HR background, so naturally there has to be a fair and transparent process and giving people an opportunity to hear their side of the story, and then kind of take a step back and then seeing what are the common denominators or otherwise. And if we need to, go back for a subsequent discussion, right?
Yeah, and work also has a compliance team. Right. So like no one is here to abuse power when it comes to reports made. And as Mr. Powell rightfully said, I believe that when people feel that level of abuse, whether it's racism, some levels of discrimination, their responsibility is to document that. Yeah. Whether that's to be to the Department of Labor and Pension, or whether that is, something I'm going to escalate this. There was a situation that I dealt with a marriage of convenience, and, I sent it to the board, and they were able to deal with that. It was a young lady who reached out to me and was able to explain to me what her situation was, and it was escalated to the director, to the secretary of the board, and to these folks. And they were able to look at it in its isolation and make a decision based on removing the person's RERC. It was obvious that it was a marriage of convenience. We're now seeing a lot of them across the spectrum, and I'm happy that Caymanians are coming forward and saying, something, I didn't get into the marriage for this, but it has evolved to this. How do you how can I be helped? Mm-hmm. And it's it's great that they are now talking more about this. I'm happy that Mr. Powell have brought a lot of this stuff up, because as a country, it's been this hidden, dark, sort of tucked away thing that we don't really want to talk about because it's too sensitive and it's too emotional charged. And, how can you say that it's a marriage of convenience? It is happening in our country, just like the whole work permit abuses that have happened. Our people are being abused. I get phone calls, text messages, emails on a regular basis from young people who are being ostracized, who've been kept down. They come back, as Mr. Powell rightfully said, they come back very qualified, eager to work, and they're being shut out of the system. And I agree with him. We can no longer have that. And I'm not here to threaten anyone, but I can say to you, in the next 4 years, there are going to be rampant changes to the system to where Caymanians are prioritized. I got into politics to prioritize Caymanians, and that's what my goal is going to be over the next 4 years, and certainly using the expertise of these folks on their boards.
All right. That's a good way to segue into a commercial break right now, Mr. Myles. We're going to go to commercial break, and after the break, I am welcoming your calls, your comments. The numbers to call are 1-800-534-8255, 949-8037, 949-6990, or you can WhatsApp call or WhatsApp text us at 925-3261.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
Cruise into summer with expert service from Automotive Art Cayman. More than a retail store, it's your one-stop auto care shop. We offer paint, detailing, accessories, wheels, Yamaha parts and products, batteries, tire repairs, tire changes, and more. Need top-tier shine and protection? Grab Gliptone detailing gear, Chevron synthetic oil, and Axiom car care kits. Get expert service with premium products all under one roof. Wherever you cruise, make your pit stop at Automotive Art first. Find us on Shedden Road and follow us at Auto Art KY on Instagram and Automotive Art Cayman on Facebook. For the Health of It, heard on Wednesdays at 7 p.m. and repeated on Saturdays at 9:30 a.m. Brought to you by UHealth International, University of Miami Health System. International patients go to UHealth International for consultations with renowned physicians, advanced treatment technologies, leading-edge medical therapies, and state-of-the-art surgical procedures. Whatever your particular reason for going to UHealth International, you will receive customized medical care delivered within a compassionate, multicultural setting. The care you need when you need it.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Welcome back to The Buzz. I am your host, Kathy Miller, and we are talking about immigration reform. So we are welcoming your calls. I know that I think we did get a call in. I have in studio with me, I have Minister Michael Myles, Minister for Caymanian Employment and Immigration, Tony Powell, Chair of the Permanent Residency and Status Board, and Jacqueline Terry, Deputy Chair of the Permanent Residency and Status Board. So good morning to our caller. Thank you for calling The Buzz.
Good morning to you, Kathy.
How are you doing?
I am well, thank you. Trust you well also.
I am, thank you.
Good morning to your guests.
Morning, sir.
Hey, everybody. Good morning, Minister. Good morning to Mr. Powell. And I think you said Ms. Terry.
Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I mean, sweet, loving Jesus. What country you say this is? We're talking about Cayman? I mean, let me tell you, I just only joined your radio program about 10 minutes ago. And you're going to motivate me to look for this program on YouTube later and listen to the entirety. But let me just say that everything that I just heard was music to my heart. And as a Caymanian, I can only think and say, where were you a few years ago? We've been yearning to be affirmed in our country. And so thank you, Minister Myles. Thank you. And I can only pray that you guys get it right. And I know that the will is there from what I just heard from the chairman. And Caymanians, I'm sure, are going to be very happy, or is very happy, hearing this morning. Thank you. That's all I have to say for now. I'll continue listening.
Thank you for calling in.
Thank you, caller. And I thought I motivated you every Tuesday and Thursday to be listening to the show. So, I guess going to have to work on that. But thank you for your calls and your comment. Anybody want to touch on what he said? All right. We also got a comment that came in via WhatsApp, and that said, while I can understand the argument about getting RERC by marriage and getting naturalization being extended to 15 years, but does that 15 years also apply to people who applied for PR?
Yes. So all of the facilities have been pushed back further. And that just buys us more time to ensure that the margins of convenience or people here are legit and our responsibility is to ensure that Cayman citizenship is earned, not paid for. What I've been seeing in my last 6.5, 7 weeks is that people are walking into this country and feel that because they have $1 million, we should just give them our citizenship. And I've made it very clear to my colleagues that Cayman citizenship is no longer for sale.
Yeah.
Right. I don't care how many dogs you walk. Like that, like stuff like that doesn't matter to me. When I lived in the U.S., I had a green card. I had to sign a document to say that I would not file any sort of social services or apply for anything like that. Like I had to do interviews. Like there were a lot of check and balances, and I'm married to an American, so I didn't go over there with the expectation that I would just become an American citizen. I knew that as long as I was married to an American, I had this opportunity to work in. When I was not, that was removed from me. Same thing should apply to Cayman. I think what has happened is that people are coming in here on a temporary work permit and feel that they should just be given Cayman citizenship because they have money in the bank. I don't agree with that. And in my time here, and certainly with the coalition government that we have, that is not going to happen anymore. I don't care if you have $100 million, you can't buy our citizenship, right? It should be provided by either marriage or by descent. And I'm going to be forceful of working on that because it has to protect our way of life. You know, Mr. Powell and Ms. Terry, like we've had loads of conversations with their board about even things like the cultural test. People could certainly they don't even have to pass it. They can certainly get 10 points and they get half a point for every question that they get right. So they don't even have to be immersed in our culture. They simply just take a test that they study for and then that's it, right? I just find a lot of those things almost laughable that we've allowed it to get to that. And I can't imagine what certainly previous administrations have done. But I believe that our administration must get this right because I have too many young people calling me, too many parents calling me saying, where's my kids going to work? When the competition is so stiff in our country that our kids are coming back with 2 degrees and still can't get a job. And a lot of it comes from we're giving away our citizenship and we can't do that anymore.
I agree with you. I think being able to buy it is completely wild. That's, for me, as an expat, that's never sat well with me. Just saying that somebody with money has more of a opportunity or a privilege for you to be here as opposed to you who might have invested a lot of your time and years here. That to me was also always wild. We have another call, I believe, another 2 calls we might have. So let's take the caller. Good morning. Thank you for calling the Buzz.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm Minister Myles and the click leaders, Elvis Micheal.
Morning, sir.
Good morning, Elvis.
Morning. Yeah, man, I heard some good music in my time, but this is the best music I heard in a long, long time. Now, Minister, this I want you to do. I didn't know this because I got in trouble a lot of time. But the last time I got in trouble for defending Caymanians, because I'm a Caymanian now, you know. I mightn't be the best one, but I'm a Caymanian. We have a clause especially for work permit holders that get in trouble to get legal aid. That has to be erased. Done. Which other country in the world that you're a guest worker and you get in trouble and the people of that country pay to defend you in court? No, something wrong with that. That has to be eliminated, erased. If you get in trouble, let me summarize another thing you got to do, sir. If anybody on work permit, if they get driving without insurance, license and all that, send them home. Because if you break one law in our country, you'll break all of them. You need to go back where you come from. Stay home and break the rules in your own yard. And you won't find who breaking the rules in our country? Check the prison population. That speaks for itself. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Elvis. Appreciate it.
Elvis, you would have arrested me about 12 times of driving with no insurance. Sometimes I forget. But yes, I understand you on that comment. Anybody want to pick up on what I said?
I think one of the biggest challenges that we face in our system is that government is very siloed. And, my colleagues and I have talked a lot about this. Work DLP, prison, police, none of those departments share one database. So if a person is arrested in court, that's often not reported to work. If a person's on a work permit or has, let's say they have PR and, they've committed a crime, that's not reported to the director of work. So what I've put in the law, or that will be coming in legislation, is that we're going to force these organizations to also report any of that information, because it's critical to how we do business. It's also critical that people comply. When information, if Mr. Tooney, writes to court and says, hey, can you give me a list of, anyone that have come before the court that is of expat descent, the court should comply, right? What I feel that government departments are doing is simply hiding behind data protection. And it's about security. It's just like what Elvis, highlighted. We don't take immigration seriously. And look at what the things that's happening in the U.S. I mean, when you look at, the sort of breaches in security that have happened, they let their guards down and they paid a heavy price for that. I don't want that to happen in Cayman. We are a small nation. We're a loving and caring nation. We are a welcoming nation. But we also have to make sure that we take this a bit more seriously, because when we don't, our people are paying for this. Like, we can't absorb, a lot of the crime that has happened across the world. Migration is a real thing across the world now. And as countries are shutting economies down and their people are struggling, they're looking for ways to get out of those countries, and Cayman is one of those places. I don't have a problem with organizations bringing people here that require specific skill sets, but Caymanians must come first in those skill sets. And therefore, I've worked a lot with Jaron Leslie, who's in charge of the BSP board, because now they're clamping down on, if a person comes into this country, a Caymanian must be trained, for that job. And if you can't find a Caymanian, then we need to make sure that scholarships are provided, internships are provided, apprenticeships are provided, to make sure that our people are being trained. Well, those things were never enforced,
right?
Because we've gotten so addicted to the $110 million of work permit fees, because it created a surplus,
right?
And those surpluses bought politicians, more glory. Well, I don't give a crap about the surplus. What I care about is, can we get every Caymanian back to work or in a position where they can support themselves, buy a house, feed their kids, and live a great life? If we can't do that, then nobody's going to have that. Because until Caymanians can be that level of prioritized, then no expat should be prioritized as well, right? And I'm not anti-expat, I'm just pro-Caymanian. And I've just seen this so long that now I have an opportunity to work with folks who feel like me, who want to make sure that we move this forward, where Caymanians are first in our country. Because if we are not first, if we're not making our people first, who's going to make us first?
Agreed. Yeah.
No one else will.
Agreed on that. You can't be anti-expat. You're married to an American woman.
I
Right?
am.
There we go.
Right.
I think we have one more caller. We have three more callers. We're going to try to take one more call before the 9 a.m. news. So we got to go a little bit quick with this call if possible. Good morning. Thanks for calling the Buzz.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Minister Myles, where were you all these years? Where were you when we were giving away our country, when we were selling it for $1 million?
I was preaching it.
Thank God you have arrived. Our deliverer is here. I just endorse everything. Like Elvis said, I've heard some nice music in my time, but this is one of the sweetest tunes. That is what I'm hearing right now. We have to look out for our people. And I love the fact that you named that section of your ministry for Caymanian employment. Thank you so much. God bless you. Give you every resource that you need, the strength, the stamina to continue on this trajectory. Have a wonderful day. And for you people on the board as well. And I know Kathy said to make it short because there was one story I wanted to relay, but that'll be another time.
Thank you.
Thank you for your call.
Thank you so much.
As a matter of fact, Mr. Myles, I wrote to you personally, I think, on WhatsApp to explain something because I don't like to look like or be a hypocrite. I've already written to you about it, but I will state it publicly at another time when we're
Sure.
not so short on time. Okay, thank you.
Sure. All right.
Thank you. We got to go to the 9 a.m. headline news right now, but when we come back, we will continue the discussion and continue taking your calls.
We are Radio Cayman,
covering Cayman Brac, Little Cayman, and Grand Cayman.
1 in a million. From Radio Cayman's newsroom, this is Headlines. Local, regional, international news.
The headline news is brought to you by Kirk Market and Health Services Authority.
I'm April Cummings with your latest headlines. Beverage and tobacco imports to the Cayman Islands rose by just over 9% in 2024, reaching $62.3 million. According to the Economics and Statistics Office, there was an increase in imports of selected alcoholic beverages, such as beer and whiskey. Growth in non-alcoholic beverage imports, such as mineral and sparkling water, also contributed to the overall increase. You can find out more stats by visiting eso.ky. Turning to international headlines, 5 Israeli soldiers were killed in an attack in Gaza, this according to the Israeli military today, while health officials in the Palestinian territory said 18 people were killed in Israeli strikes. The bloodshed came as Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was visiting the White House for talks with U.S. President Donald Trump about a ceasefire plan to pause the fighting in Gaza. While there was no announcement of a breakthrough, there were signs of progress toward a deal. Also making headlines today, U.S. President Donald Trump set a 25% tax on goods imported from Japan and South Korea, as well as new tariff rates on a dozen other nations. These would go into effect on August 1st. Trump provided notice by posting letters on Truth Social that were addressed to the leaders of the various countries. The letters warned them not to retaliate by increasing their own import taxes, or else the Trump administration would further increase tariffs. Those are your headlines. I'm April Cummings.
Radio Cayman. More news available at www.radiocayman.gov.ky. Check out our social media pages: Facebook, YouTube, X, formerly Twitter, Radio Cayman Headline News.
Do you have a healthcare question but not sure who to ask? Contact HSA's Patient Call Center to speak to one of our experienced clinical team members. We are here to answer your questions and help guide you through your healthcare journey. Need to make an appointment? Our team can help. Contact HSA at 949-8600 or email info@hsa.ky. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you.
Looking for fresh, healthy food that's full of flavor? Then you've got to visit Kirk Market. Our dishes are made with fresh, high-quality ingredients. Enjoy vibrant mixed greens or satisfying pasta salads. Or try one of our delicious grill options like blackened chicken, spicy beef steak, or grilled salmon. Looking for something light and flavorful? We've got sushi rolls and poke bowls prepared daily. And don't forget to explore a hot bar or Billy Fresh salad at the salad bar. Stop by Kirk Market today for breakfast, lunch, or dinner and taste the difference. Eat well, live well with Kirk Market.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
All right, good morning. Welcome back to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller, and we are discussing immigration reform. I have in studio with me, I have Minister Myles, Minister for Caymanian Employment and Immigration. We have Tony Powell, Chair of the Permanent Residency and Status Board, and Jacqueline Terry, also Deputy Chair of the PRN Status Board. I'm going to ask a question that came in via WhatsApp and then take a call via WhatsApp. The question that came in says, would your panelists agree that one of the main pathways to Caymanian status is the grant of PR? What are the proposed solutions to limit PR?
So what we've done in the new reform is that persons will not be able to get Cayman citizenship until they've been here 22 years. So, you know, the goal for us is to push all of these facilities out further. For instance, the facility of getting RRC is pushed out to 7 years. The facility of applying for a British Overseas Territory citizen, which they can get after 3 years, married to Caymanian, that's pushed out to 15 years. And once they've been married for 15 years and been here successful and everything's going well, they want to apply to Cayman citizenship, they have to then, it's an additional 7 years.
Okay. All right. So we got that. So thanks to the listener via WhatsApp, that question was sent. We have somebody on a WhatsApp call. Good morning. Thanks for calling the Buzz.
Good morning.
How are you doing today?
I'm fine, man. It's almost weekend blessings.
Blessings to you, Randall.
Blessings to the minister and the father.
Morning, sir.
Early on,
Good morning.
Good morning. I heard Uncle was calling and Mr. Dorner and the store and to be mentioned and how you talk about the generation gap of different income level that who want to get naturalized as Caymanians, right? That plays an intricate role, right? Because first the Caymanians, right, it's misreading, and it always economic dissatisfaction. Okay, in the government political concept and consensus, they pull resources now. But however, private sector successfully create wealth. So if you remember, so anyhow, that exacerbates now. So that trickles down to unregulated profit. So the whole point should be this morning, externalities, right? And the immigrant breach of law, immediate deportation. Because Cayman now, they step up to a zero tolerance. But a lot of immigrants, they get a lot of benefit of doubt more than the Caymanian natives. So, I make a short brevity of it. Most immigrants, they don't, and how they enter a predicament, they won't leave the island right away. From experience on the streets. So, we need to step up on the pipeline, henceforth, step up. Okay? That's my today. Have a good day.
All right. Thanks, Rambo. Okay, we have another call, I believe. Let's take that next caller. Good morning. Thank you for calling the Buzz.
Good morning. How are we doing today?
Good. How are you?
Morning.
Oh, I'm blessed and highly favored beyond all measures. Overexcited, very happy with what I'm hearing. First of all, Minister, thank you for throwing your hat in the ring. Thank you for standing up. Thank you for having backbone, which is well needed. Thank you, Minister, for not thinking of yourself, but thinking of others, and not for to secure votes, but to make the right decision and the right choice to help our people. You are awesome. You are well supported out here, Minister, so you keep up the good work. And, I mean, we're all behind you. And I would like to also see implemented hefty fines for employers who discriminate against our Caymanians. I'm speaking of experience. I've gone through it at the Ritz-Carlton. They discriminate against the Caymanians there to get rid of them. Went as far at one point in time, while I was working there, a Caymanian young lady applied for a job. She didn't get even a response with her Caymanian name. She changed her name to Chung, and she got an interview the said week at the Ritz-Carlton. So we need to be aware. We need to put a stop to all of this. I also would like to say to my Caymanians, we have a government that is for us, and they're starting to show us that they are for us. Let us work with them. Let us get out there and get these jobs. Let us make our people proud. Let's get Cayman back to Caymanians and do the best that we can, that we know how to. We have the culture. This is our culture. We want the tourists come here to experience our culture, not other nationality culture, Cayman culture. So Caymanians need to get out there and apply to these jobs. And if they're not given these jobs, a reason should be why they're not given these jobs. So therefore, Minister Micheal, I take my hat off to you, sir. I am behind you 100%. And if there's anything you need, Miss Welcome is right here. Just if you know that I can help in any way, shape, or form, please feel free to reach out.
Thank you.
Thank you, caller. Thank you
You're
so
most
much.
welcome.
In relation to PR, we are making a recommendation that property be taken out because it creates problems for Caymanians. And otherwise, people do it as land banking, investment, and it increases the value of land and puts it out of reach of Caymanians. So we're making a recommendation that property be removed from the PR, and also we are making a recommendation that dog walking be removed from it.
Yeah.
So that you make a contribution to some other sector of our Caymanian community, or school children, or seniors, or something like that. It'd be a more meaningful contribution rather than just walking a dog and getting points for it. So we're making those recommendations to the government. So property will be taken out, and dog walking will be taken out of it.
The entire point system need to be reformed, and that's what we're doing now. And it was really, I know the minister was working on it prior to me getting in, but with Mr. Toon and his board raising it a lot more, putting it in a report, I'm more hell-bent on making sure that, we realize that we cannot have people come into Cayman, as I said, simply doing the bare minimum and getting our citizenship. We can't go to anyone else's country and do the bare minimum and get their citizenship, and I don't see why we need to allow it anymore. We do have economic boom in our country, and we certainly will always need foreign labor. I'm not naive to think that we're going to fill every job by a Caymanian, because we have more jobs than Caymanians.
Right.
But I've made it very clear to organizations, our people must come first. We must find provision to also promote our people based on training and opportunities of development. And if they're not willing to do that, pack up your ship and go home. And I've made it very clear to a number of organizations who've called me, who've complained that, we are some way down the line not being fair. And I am often saying, you've made a lot of money in this country. You are refusing to hire Caymanians, or you're skirting the law of hiring Caymanians. You're putting information and adverts that prejudices our people. And yet I am not fair, with the things of what we're doing. So if, folks feel that it's not, I'm going to legislate as much as I possibly can. And other than that, the rest of that can be covered by policies that work is going to be developing.
We have one last WhatsApp call to take before, because I know there's some other information we want to get through. We had a lot of calls and WhatsApp messages come in. So let's take the final WhatsApp call.
Hello, am I on?
Good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. How are you?
Yes. Well, good morning, Minister, and together with the members of your board.
Morning.
I have just two short questions. One, you have mentioned that naturalization periods are going to be extended. Now, my understanding is that naturalization as a British Overseas Territory citizen are regulated by the British Nationality Act. So I'm wondering how you are proposing to do that, because it seems to me that unless you've got a delegated power under that law, that will have to be done by the British government directly. That is point number one. Point number two, and the last one, there are those who have suggested that there must be a limit, a cap put on PR and status grants. And the way to establish the cap, they have suggested, is that you should establish in the preceding year what was the net population growth among Caymanians. And once you establish that, then the following year you must ensure that you do not grant status which is more than the net growth of population. So that, in other words, if the net growth was 400 per year, preceding year, then the following year you can't grant more than, say, for example, 50%, like 200. And they've also said that we want to find out from this government what are the targets you want to meet. Just so that you understand it, those people have suggested that if you give by marriage a number that reaches the cap, then it means that you can't give anything beyond that. Is that a policy that this government has considered? I would just like to hear what your view is on that. Thank you very much. You have a nice day.
Thank you for your contribution. You want to do the first two?
On the point of naturalization, you're absolutely right that that's governed by the British Nationality Act. And once you are naturalized, our board doesn't even confer that. That's dealt with through the deputy governor. And you're absolutely right. Once you earn that, 5 years after, you're able to get Caymanian status. So the minister is not, he's fully aware that under that act he doesn't have the ability to amend, and perhaps something got lost in translation earlier. But just for your purpose, just to be clear, we're well aware that we can't touch that act. From the point about, limiting the caps, PR, and status grants and things of that nature, you've heard the minister speak about, really data mining and looking at, how many Caymanians we have is one point, but I think we need to expand that statement and look at how many working Caymanians are available. So, all of the work that's being done and, gathering the intel that he's getting from the various boards, the various different departments will allow us to then really have that robust database that we need to make informed decisions, because it's not lost on the minister that if a hotel is opening up and they need labor, we may not have the 500 jobs. I think the point that the minister has stated over and over and over again in his short period in this seat, and even prior to coming into this seat, is that we have to make sure that we're putting Caymanians first, and the policies that we do have in place, that we're making sure that companies are adhering to those. So you heard him mention about apprenticeships earlier, you heard him mention about scholarships earlier, and making sure that Caymanians are able to avail themselves to those avenues, so then they can ultimately get the jobs. Mm-hmm. So I think that is a key point that needs to be stated. And in terms of the last point that you were making, with regard to if we're then giving status from a marriage perspective versus, and we may meet our quota. I mean, I'll let the minister speak for himself on this point, but from my perspective, I mean, I don't think that, that level of, that we're in a position to talk about that level of detail here today, because as he continuously mentioned, these are proposed reforms. There's a protocol and process around these proposed reforms. So it would not be proper for us to start saying that once that quota is met, that then we're not going to give anything else.
Correct. And Jackie is right. I mean, we, as a coalition, we haven't sat down and talked about quotas. What we've talked about is reforming the laws and closing loopholes. If quotas certainly come up, I mean, the country will be briefed on that. But for now, I think once we can reform our laws and close loopholes, it should take care of whatever sort of capacity that we are now granting citizenship for. I also believe that, we also have to be very, very careful that as our country becomes more and more populated, and this is what we've seen, immigration impacts everything, right? And Jackie rightfully said, Tony also mentioned it about things like housing, right? Because of our immigration, because of our lax immigration policy and certain laws, it's now impacted housing, where the average Caymanian can't afford a house because the real estate market has been driven up, because everybody that applies for PR, the major criteria in that, they have to have some sort of property. So we're changing that as well, because a person could simply just buy a property for $30,000. It becomes part of the PR points, and they can actually receive PR. What we're changing the law at is what we're trying to now do is remove property from it, so people don't need to be buying property anymore. I think the goal for us is that Cayman citizenship should not be bought anymore. Our responsibility, it is earned, and we are coming up with a system that how people could earn that.
And that's what I want to touch on when we come back from the commercial break, is what those changes are. We're going to move from that points-based PR system into something a little different. So I want to talk about those changes when we come back from the commercial break.
Summer's heating up and the water's calling. From cruising the coast in your boat to riding Yamaha Wave Runners, Automotive Art Cayman will get you ready. We offer expert servicing by Yamaha certified staff, as well as engine repairs, performance upgrades, engine and electrical installation, and more. Need it tuned, cleaned, repaired, or race ready? We'll keep you running smooth, whether you're riding waves or racing them. Trust Automotive Art for expert service and upgrades. Find us on Shedden Road and follow us at Auto RKY on Instagram and Automotive Art Cayman on Facebook.
Craving something bold, juicy, and packed with flavor? Introducing KFC's new crispy barbecue sandwich served on a soft, buttery brioche bun. That's 100% KFC premium chicken breast, perfectly crispy, deliciously smoky with crispy onions, cheddar cheese, and barbecue sauce. Just the right amount of messy in the best way possible. Stacked with layers of bold KFC flavor, this sandwich is your new obsession. But hurry, it's only at KFC for a limited time. So what are you waiting for? Get yours today at any of the 3 KFC locations on island. KFC, finger licking good, just got bolder.
Adelaide, what it is you have there in your hand looking at so intently on this porch?
These your shipping out papers, Paul. I saved them all these years. Don't know why.
Yes, they are important things that tell the story of us seamen. All the places we went and all the sacrifice we made.
And we sacrificed too. No man to help us manage the home, the grounds, the children. That was hard work. But what a joy it was when Annie came home.
Boy, Adelaide, we were brave people, stepping off of this beautiful rock onto the edge of the whole wide world. And you all here suddenly becoming financial managers and overseeing construction. Some strong women.
We set this country on the map for sure. Every bit of our modern foundation came from seamen's allotments and women's hands. I'm so excited we're going to be celebrated on July 10th at the Voices of the Sea, launching the Cayman Seafarers Registry. Come on, let's go pick out what we gonna wear. This can be a real figure. A good old time.
Celebrate Cayman at the Cabinet Office cordially invites one and all to come out to Voices of the Sea, launching the Cayman's Seafarers Registry to celebrate our seamen and our proud history of seafaring. Thursday, July 10th, 5:30 p.m. at the Veterans and Seamen's Association Hall in Cayman Brac.
The Buzz with your host, Kathy Miller.
Good morning. Welcome back to The Buzz. I'm your host, Kathy Miller, and we are talking about immigration reform. We are just in about our last 10 minutes or so of the show. I have in studio with me, I have Minister Myles. He is Minister for Caymanian Employment and Immigration. And we have from the Caymanian Status and Permanent Residency and Status Board, we have Chair Tony Powell and Deputy Chair Jacqueline Terry. And we were just taking all the calls in. No more calls, guys. I can't take any more calls right now. Thank you. There's still some information to get out to our listeners. And one of the things that I wanted to turn to again was about how the permanent residency application, how the point system is changing, or we're going to move from more so a points-based system. And one of those, I think one of the criteria I saw that is going to be changing would be we're going to be taking in somebody's impact, their involvement in the community a lot more. Can you at all explain that a little bit more, how that would be measured?
So we are consistently fleshing this out now. My team at the ministry is looking at a variety of different areas and certainly taking some guidance from the folks who are doing it every day, which is the CSPR board. So a major part of this right now is looking at doing away with folks qualifying by buying property, because it certainly undermines our people being able to afford. What we've also seen is what Mr. Powell rightfully said, is land banking, where people are coming in, buying up a lot of property, and they basically sit on that property goes up to an extreme amount, and then they can certainly sell it back to us, for 50 times more. So that's something that we are trying to get away from. And the cultural test, right now it's out of 50 points, they can score 5 points and still get points to contribute to their overall qualification. It should never be that way. It should be a pass-fail test, and those are things that we are looking at. But as we flesh that out, we will consistently report back to the public, because it's important that we also get public feedback.
And is this at all coming from the recommendations from that immigration transition paper, the white paper?
Well, that white paper was a joke. What we've done is that we've gone back to the original document that white paper came from.
Okay.
That white paper was probably edited about 40 times. So while I've looked at that white paper, and I've looked at what the original format of it is, and it is two different documents. The document that we are going off of is the original document, where it had a lot of reforms, and that's what we are doing. We're doing a comprehensive reform. And then we're taking in consideration what Mr. Powell has said, his recommendations. We've gotten recommendations from the work permit boards. I've met with both work permit boards, the one in the BRAC and the one here. And we've also met with the BSP board. And I've also met with the Immigration Appeals Tribunal. So they have a lot of really great recommendations as well, because they are seeing a lot of the loopholes that, you know, when Mr. Powell and his team says no, folks can then appeal it. Mm-hmm. And they're seeing a number of things that are coming up. They're like, you know, so I want to hear all of that, because the more information that we get, the stronger our laws are going to be. So I'm taking a comprehensive approach in looking at this. And, you know, Jackie mentioned something at the beginning of the hour. We have to start to be thoughtful about what we do, and it's not just be a knee-jerk reaction to everything. I've gotten calls from just about everyone. I've met with attorneys. I've met with immigration folks. You know, everyone is calling about a contribution, and I'm listening to it all. But I just want people to say that this is not a retaliation against our foreign contingency. Mm-hmm. I welcome folks with specific skill sets to contribute to our community in order to help our people and build our country. So I don't want it to be this vengeful, we need to get all these people off the island. That is not what I am doing, and I am never going to be used as some weapon, you know, to just retaliate. What we have to do is something that's thoughtful, something that ensures that our people are protected, but still we have the skill sets to continue to be competitive on a global scale. So I just want to make sure that I put that out there, so it doesn't come across as this anti-export. We just need to get those people off the island. You know, no one has made any contribution from the foreign contingency. That's not what I'm saying. I'm simply saying at this point in time, we have we have at least 9 different pathways. They're contributing to the demise of the average person. When I have a 17, 18-year-old that is losing hope that they have a place in our country, we have to start listening to that, because that's being magnified. When we have 4 or 5 generations, and this is fact, 4 or 5 generations of Caymanians living in the same house, and those folks do not know where their grandchildren is actually going to be able to afford property, that's a problem. Mm-hmm. So we have to make sure that we address that, and that's real as well. And for the folks that are coming in and contributing to our country, we welcome those, whether it's a financial contribution or a social contribution, we welcome that. But it should not be guaranteed that I have to give you citizenship for you to do that.
Gotcha. I want to turn to the work permit term limits and penalties for those who switch jobs, because I understand this is part of the immigration reform happening as well.
It is.
So back in my day, I would remember that you couldn't switch jobs more than twice within, I think it was a 3-month period. You were kind of red flagged. So I just assume that this is still happening. Granted, I work for government for how many years now, but for those that are on work permits, that's what I understood to be that red flag if you're switching jobs within 2 to 3 months or twice within that period. So is there any penalty currently?
There's none. People are coming from as far as India, Nepal, from all over the world, and they come to Cayman on a temporary work permit, and they are here maybe a month, and all of a sudden they're switching a job, because we now have a lot of shady business owners who bring these folks really with, you know, the only interest of really pimping them out to other organizations, and that's what's happening at a significant level now. So what we are doing is closing that loophole. You cannot change jobs within 2 years of being employed, and you need to leave. If you do change jobs, you need to leave the country. So we're putting that in. Another thing that's coming is sharing of work permits. So, you know, in speaking to Mr. Powell and his board, and certainly BSP and our work permit boards, we're now having folks who come to the country and promise that they have a 40-hour work week, and all of a sudden they come here and the employer is saying, well, I only have 10 hours for you. You need to go out and get a job. And so now we're forcing people to break the law and work outside their work permit. We are going to be closing that loophole as well, because if I've seen work permits of folks who are come here as a domestic helper or a janitor, and now applying for a teacher's position or applying for, you know, some other position that is way above where they actually started. Well, that's not what we should be doing in our country, because once that happens, it then limits a Caymanian from moving into that role. And then we are now having employers who are writing adverts specifically for those people, right? So I've seen adverts, 15 years experience, 2 degrees, but paying $7.50 an hour. There has to be penalties for that. So we're going to be driving that home as well, is that when you do that, we're going to start holding you accountable. Another thing that that I will be pushing harder is organizations applying for trade and business licenses that we know that are skirting the law, breaking the law, whatever you want to call it. We have to start to make sure that people are held accountable, that they should not qualify for a trade and business license. Once you are found guilty, and we know that you have broken our pension law or our labor law or our work permit law, you should never be granted another trade and business license. So I'm meeting with the Premier and his team to make sure that we can bring legislation to flesh out all of those people.
Even if you're Caymanian?
Even if you're Caymanian, because there's a lot of Caymanians that's doing that, right? Like, I'm talking to our people because our people are actually doing a lot of this stuff. We've seen folks who have created 5 or 6 companies. Caymanians who've created 5 or 6 companies, who've brought people from all over the world, can't afford to pay them, and then all of a sudden those people are breaking the law in our country. I have employers that are consistently calling me saying, I've just had someone from Nepal or from India or from this place or from that place who showed up at my company and they're working for so-and-so, right? We have a list. We have a list at work now that we've kept track of high-risk employers who are doing this. All of these companies are owned by Caymanians, right? So we have to make sure that our laws are also here to make sure that our people aren't breaking the law. And a lot of it has been because the loopholes has existed. And unfortunately, Kathy, all of this stuff was created by politicians.
And lack of enforcement,
right?
too.
Correct. But we can't enforce, like, I would have to hire an army of people. Right now, the police department has 400 plus police officers. We're not going to have, we still have crime. I can't hire 400 immigration officers to do this level of enforcement. We have to start to catch this from the time people are applying for a trade and business license, because currently in the trade and business license process, no one, an owner doesn't actually have to prove that they have a pension or health insurance program or that they're actually abiding by that. It's a checkbox system.
Oh,
right?
wow.
So they don't have to upload anything. There's no certificate of good standing that people have to upload to that. And that's what we are seeing. So, just let me highlight what that looks like. I can apply for a trade and business license. I can hire, I can then, I don't have to prove to the T&B license department that I have, a health insurance or pension for any of my employees. I can then hire Mr. Tony from Africa. He can be dropped in the middle of Cayman. I can then apply for a temporary work permit for him, take out a temporary sort of health insurance, and once I get his temporary work permit, I can go back and cancel that, and no one checks, right? And then I can go back the next year, apply for another trade and business license, and the trade and business license application doesn't have me upload a certificate of good standing, right? That is a dumb system. So what we are doing is that we are encouraging people to break the law on a regular basis. And because DCI, DLP, work, police, prison, courts, no one shares that same database, we have significant issues, right? So we've seen the issues. I've had a lot of conversation. Now it's time to fix it, right? I can't sit down for the next 4 years and I have people telling me that these are problems, writing me reports, and be like former politicians where they just sit down and they allow all of this stuff to happen. Right. So we have to now fix this, and part of the reform that's coming up in Parliament is certainly closing the gaps, and then more reforms will be coming after that.
So I got a closing question for you, and then we got to shut off the show here. So I'm going to ask for final thoughts from everybody here. But the closing question I have is, what is the timeline looking at? So when can we expect, I guess, the changes for the PR system to be into effect? Other changes that we talked about, whether the penalties for switching jobs, when are those changes looking to happen?
September.
September?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I also want to remind people, your fees, if they're outstanding, please pay them. If you don't pay them, we're going to revoke your RERC, we're going to revoke your status, and you'll find yourself down by CBC to get time.
Yeah.
We're giving you notice, and this is the final notice. If they're not paid when you come into N. Roberts Airport, you'll have to go down to CBC to get time. All of the money that's owed to government is due, and we're not giving another final warning once we give you that 30 days mindful. That is it. We're going to revoke your facilities for you. It is something that is a privilege, and you should pay for it.
And just as I wrap up, I want to circle back to where I started out. I started out commending Honourable Myles on all the work that he has done. As you heard, he's taken a very thoughtful approach about meeting with all the boards, all the various bodies, and really seeking to take back to his government that foresight in order for them to really reform a framework that supports sustainable growth, but ensuring Caymanians are not left behind in our own country. Doing so in a way that we're making sure we have a future-ready system that works for employers, employees, and the next generation of Caymanians. He touched a lot on that this morning with the apprenticeship program, the data mining. So I just want to, again, just close out by saying that, we just need to ensure that Cayman remains a place where business can grow, but not at the expense of Caymanians, our rights, or our cultural identity.
Thank you so much. We had a great discussion. We barely kind of scratched the surface there. I know there's a lot more we could go into. Especially, I want to hear a lot more from your experience being on the board, Tony and Jackie, about what you guys have seen through the years and what you'd like to, why these changes have come about. We barely even got to go into that. Yeah. And Tony, I've never heard you sound so stern. So this is a Tony I do not want to get on your bad side. That's for sure. But thank you so much for joining us. I welcome you to come back on our show anytime because sharing this information is really important. It was great to have you on.
Absolutely. Thank you. You've been a wonderful host. Thank you.
Proudly sponsored by Cayman Insurance Center, specializing in property, life, and other lines of insurance products and services. And Kirk Market. Experience a world of choice.